Hello, everybody. This is Ask Us Anything, WordPress St. Petersburg. Welcome tonight. I am Jim True. I am the what am I? I'm the lead organizer for WordPress St. Petersburg and WordPress Tampa Bay. And below me, we have Travis Lopes, who's also one of our lead organizers at WordPress St. Petersburg. Elaine will be joining us shortly. Jen is not going to make it tonight, unfortunately. So let's get started without any further ado. As I said, we are WordPress St. Petersburg. We meet monthly on the first Tuesday of the month, except for this month where we're meeting the second Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. We're doing online only through 2021. Our meetup is at meetup.com, WordPress St. Petersburg. Our website is wptampabay.org. On that website, we have a communications channel on the very front page, the very top. All of our communication channels are linked. We have our Slack chat, we have a Facebook group, and we have links to all of our meetups. We are a member of the WordPress Tampa Bay. Hey, Lane. We're a member of the WordPress Tampa Bay Network, which is a loosely affiliated group of meetups that meet throughout Tampa Bay. Right now, we have St. Petersburg, which is the longest running continuously one. Tampa, which is not running at present, but hopefully will come back soon. Newport Richey, which has had some meetups again. They're meeting, sporadically, but they're trying to come back again. Brandon, Valrico, which I haven't heard anything about if they're still running or not. And soon, we may have Lakeland. So, because I am moving to Lakeland. So I'm still going to keep being a member of the WordPress Tampa Bay Network, and will still be providing as much feedback and for moving forward prospects that I can here. But I am moving to Lakeland, to the city of Lakeland. So, all right, let's see. So, our upcoming meetups and events. So, because of this, we are not going to be meeting on August 3rd. So, this meetup here is canceling. I'm closing that weekend, or that Friday, 3 days later, and I am not going to have a meetup on the 6th. So we're going to cancel for August. It's a very hot month anyway. Go enjoy the weather. Try to stay out of hurricanes and all that kind of stuff. We will, however, do a meetup on the fall. Actually, you know what? That is. Let me go back one. There we go. We are going to meet on September 7th, but that's the day after Labor Day, so we can discuss tonight. We may move it to the second Tuesday as well, just so that folks have a chance to enjoy their holiday without, conflicting. So that's pretty much that. We do not have any scheduled talks at present in the pipeline, so we're going to just keep doing our AMAs. We are looking for speakers. If you are up and adept on WordPress, web design, front end or back end, plugin reviews, theme reviews, anything pertinent to web design or entrepreneurship, we would be happy to have you talk. It's a great place if you've never spoken in public before. It's actually pretty easy when you're online because you're going to have us helping you out, and you don't have to look at anybody's faces. Just have to answer their questions when they chat. It's also great for your resume, your LinkedIn, or your Twitter. And if you're interested, go to our website, click on the speakers link in the upper right-hand corner of the menu, and then click on the speakers call, or call for speakers, and you can fill out a form, and we will get back in touch with you and get you on the schedule. Okay, our code of conduct tonight. There are no stupid questions except the one you didn't ask. We love doing these Ask Us Anythings because we do get a lot of people, just pretty much anything comes up, and it's kind of nice. We're going to limit the question discussion to about 10 to 15 minutes. Any more than that, you should be hiring a consultant. And everyone gets to speak on these things, but no crosstalk with online because of the lag. You never know if you're actually talking over the top of someone, so we try to limit crosstalk. When we met in person, people would used to get into little quiet conversations in the back, and it would just get kind of really noisy. So it's kind of like a carry on over from that. Okay, dial-in etiquette. Sorry, not etiquette. Boy, cannot speak today, can I? We're using StreamYard, and the invite link is posted on Facebook and in YouTube chat. The guest instructions are linked here, but they also are linked the minute you join the invite. You'll automatically get the guest instructions. The first piece to do, which it asks you to do, is to confirm that your connection is configured properly and that you've tested your mic and speakers. If you're also watching the stream through Facebook or YouTube, please mute the audio in one of those windows so that you do not get into one of those horrible little feedback loops, and we'll know it immediately and mute you. When you join the call, you'll actually be in our green room, and we'll bring you into the call when we see you. So we'll chat with you in our little private chat first. Okay? All right. So questions. Ask us anything. I'm going to kill our keynote because I don't need it anymore. And remove that. And there we go. It's on. Hey, Elaine, you're on mute. Did you know you're on mute? She's just smiling. Okay. All right. Okay, there you go. I can hear you. All right. Welcome back. Okay.
Before we dive into the questions there, you walking through like the searching for speakers brought up a good idea. I think it would be fun if we had a meetup where we did some plugin reviews. Where people could submit.
You know, we haven't.
Not
we actually
third party, but like submit their own stuff that they've written, and we can look at it both from like a UX usability perspective, and from even a code perspective too. I think that could be.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we haven't done something like that in a while because we haven't had a very developer-based clientele. But
with us being more virtual, we can kind of put the word out.
Yeah, we could put the word out for that. You wanna take that one, Travis?
Sure.
I will let you do that. So on me, that's a good idea, though. I definitely think that's a good idea. So our first question is from the meetup at the moment. I don't see, we've got like 3 people on the call tonight. It is probably going to be a very quick evening. From our meetup, so from meetup, blah, 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 meetup.com, our first question of the evening is from Cheryl Harrison. And it is, if you were going to sell a website, where would you start? It's funny, when we looked at this one, Travis had one idea and I had a completely different idea. I thought of the fact of like, how would you price a website? So if you're going to sell a website to someone, how would you price the work you do? And we have a talk that I did that's called Pricing Etiquette, I think it is. Hang on, I'm going to look it up while Travis discusses what his idea was or what he thought it meant.
So when I read this question, I assumed it was more about like, how can I get someone, like I'm selling the website, like I want someone to acquire this website, the domain, the content, everything on it. Which, if it's just a general website, I know Flippa, FLIPPA.com is pretty popular right now for selling web properties and acquisitions. If you're doing something more specific to the WordPress space, like a plugin or theme business, FlipWP just started up. That's FLIPWP.co. It's run by Ian Polson and Alex Denning, and the sellers have to pay to join the platform. Sorry, correction. Buyers have to pay to join the platform. Sellers, it's free, and they vet all the listings, and a set of them go up every week with like notes for the buyers of like why this would be a good option and stuff like that.
So is this like domain selling, or is it like the full website?
Is full business. Of like, hey, I'm selling, and some of them that are on FlipWP right now are just like, hey, I just have like this free plugin in the .org repository. I don't even have a pro version or like any paid support or anything. Just this free .org plugin. They're selling on there.
Fascinating. Huh. So let me share. I'm going to share my screen because I have a Chrome tab. Let's see, where is it? There it is. We did a talk back a little while ago on ethical pricing, and it was so funny because like Elaine will remember this one. It was just me and her there, and I think there was one other person in the room, and I did the whole thing in like 10 minutes, the whole talk in like 10 minutes, and then I did another person came in at the end of it, so I did it again. And I hadn't and I remembered it too because it was like, oh, got a phone call. I'm going to bring Nichelle in real quick because I think she's on a call. Hey, Nichelle.
Hello.
Hey. You're in darkness. Yep, we can hear you just fine. Yeah. Okay. So this particular talk was about how to figure out what your burn rate was and calculating your day rate and basically determine how much you need to survive and then how to basically work out your pricing based on how much you want to make in order to, improve your life. And if you always think along those lines when you're trying to do your pricing, you will end up usually at least setting up a minimum that's an appropriate amount, enough to cover your business and cover your ass. So you don't, go up belly up, because that's the problem that a lot of people have, is they charge so little for websites that they don't sit there and do this piece first and determine how much they need to survive. And if you don't do that piece first, you don't survive. And if you don't survive, then your clients can't also survive, because you're not, you're worrying about your life too much and not worrying about the job. So that was kind of the whole idea of it. It's kind of fascinating. I loved it. It was my first time doing, I think it was my second time doing a keynote with the little animation and the icons and everything. So I had a blast, and it's a fun little talk. It's, like I said, it's exactly, I think, 10 minutes. So it's worth a watch if you've never seen it before. And if you are trying to figure out how to come up with a pricing schedule, and yes, you do have to look at your competitors and stuff like that, but you have to have this kind of information first. This is just like the idea of making a budget, and that, you can't really survive in the world if you don't have a budget and know how much you need to make from your jobs to cover your life. So, hey, Ann, I see you down there in the little... Did you have any questions, Ann, or are you just watching out? But I should probably bring her in.
You know me. I like to watch.
Okay, you're just in there watching. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're the only you five are the only people here that came to the call. So, and I think you may be listening to us in another stream, on another channel. So you might want to turn that one off, because I'm hearing an echo.
Is that me?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't hear it now, so you must have got it. So, okay. All right, so that was that question. Hopefully that answered the question they needed. The only other question from our meetup tonight is from Juan Roldan in Mexico. And he is asking, we're getting people coming here from Mexico, guys. He is asking a question about Core Web Vitals and how to get excellent scores. I don't know enough about this to answer that question. So I would like someone who may have more information on this one to answer that question.
I imagine the answer would really be is just like the standard optimization you would do on any website, which would be move script styling, image assets off to a CDN, make sure like you're only loading in what's necessary, making sure you're loading certain things like fonts and stuff asynchronously, so that's not slowing down the page load time and the page paint times. I think that's mainly what Core Web Vitals goes to. I haven't dug quite into Core Web Vitals a bit, because I find some of that stuff to be not... I feel like some of it's overblown.
What does it mean? Is it a Web Vitals, quickly find and resolve errors, Sentry IO? Oh, Google Core Web Vitals. Okay, yes. I gotcha.
Does accessibility enter into it at this point, or did they?
I don't think so.
Too high of a bar.
Yeah,
right
they're
now,
not including. Yeah, they're not.
Person.
It's mainly around your performance of your site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought too, Nichelle. So, yeah, it doesn't look like they're touching on accessibility. They're not even talking about really how your graphics or anything look. They're not talking about your usability, anything. So.
It's just like page loads, page size.
And I'm sorry, but your web means more than just that. I mean, it's nice that your website loads fast, but
with Google, you know how they do the slow rollout. They start with one thing, get you to get it going well, and then they'll tack on to it as they improve it. So right now, the focus is on site performance, because if I can get you to improve your image load time, get you to go responsive, get you to do lazy load, those type of things, then it's easy for me to tack on the very next thing, which is, SEO probably, which will probably be next, because that feeds directly into Google and some of those other things. So
that's true. Yeah, because that tacks directly into what they sell. So that makes perfect sense. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of the whole thing too, is you've got to look at who is the person driving it, who's the business driving it, and where's the money going. and that's what really they focus on anyway. So like if Amazon was doing this, they would be looking at, oh, well, let's upsell you to a CDN. Let's upsell you to our Amazon Web Services. Let's integrate you with our Amazon selling broker network and stuff like that. Oh, you need a supply chain? We can help you with that. So,
But looking through it briefly, it's definitely just like your standard web page optimization.
that's what I thought.
Minify your styling assets and use
In
lazy wording on
order
your
to
images.
load quickly, correct? Loading quickly.
Not
fast.
just loading quickly, but also you want to keep the weight of your page down. Like you want to make sure like you're not sending, you don't have 5 different 5 megabyte large images on your page.
Yeah.
Because like even
And
if they
mobile-
load quickly off that CDN, it's still like a 25 megabyte page.
And
Now, are they
fast
still pushing-
on mobile as well as desktop. Don't forget the mobile.
Yeah. Now, are they pushing away from AMP now at this point? Did they give up on AMP?
I believe it's like less. Like it's less important for like where you rank, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because I know they made such a gigantic push about it, and then all of a sudden they pulled it back, and it's like, it reminds me of so many of the Google projects that go out there, where they get you to buy into them, and then they yank the foundation out from underneath them, like Google Photos and Google Drive and all that kind of stuff. Like, here, have this wonderful, as many photos as you want. Come on. And then, we're going to start charging you for it now. Didn't you know? Huh?
Yeah, they're going to decouple search rankings from if you're like using AMP.
Okay.
So it used to be like if you were using AMP, you were getting preferential.
Right,
treatment
I remember
on search
that.
results.
I remember that.
So they're
Yeah.
removing that.
Okay.
And instead pushing Core Web Vitals.
Yes, of course. It's their next big thing. So
It sounds
God.
very.
it sounds like a report card. It sounds like it's important. It's Web Vitals, We have to keep our heartbeat going.
True.
So we have no more questions on the meetup, and it doesn't look like anybody's asking any questions out there in the world. So I guess we could talk about the upcoming, as a commentary anyway. We could talk about the upcoming WordPress 5.8 and the theme templates that are going to be block templates now, and the widgets that are going to be blocks, and yeah.
Well, then that leads to a question of what if we have existing sites that are not blocked?
They still have the classic editor, and there's also now a classic widget plugin so that you can maintain your existing widget capabilities. That's primarily, and I don't think there's 2 different weirdness with the way the block editor and the block templates and the template editor and all that kind of stuff works, is that if it's a block enabled theme, then you can turn off support, you remove support for certain things, but if it's not a block enabled theme and you want that, you have to enable that support. So it's very strange. Yes.
Well, I was speaking with the help desk at Generate Press, and they told me Classic Editor is going to be, what do you call it when they're going to get rid of it?
Deprecated?
Yep.
Really? I didn't think that was going away anytime soon.
They said it was. I don't know about when.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just
They
it.
said
That people.
to get away from it, just don't use it, and it's going away. And
Well, I mean, that's kind of the point, was that
so
the
that
whole
leads
idea.
to what do I do with old sites that are using Classic Editor?
Well, I mean, that's just it. They can't yank it if there hasn't been full adoption. So, if you're using a theme that isn't block-based, I don't know. That's a weird one. I mean, to me, honestly, it's better to go ahead and see how it feels to work without it, and see how it works. There's a lot of stuff that I've yet to figure out how to do properly. Like we have, there's some of the stuff we format, and I've done this before too. Like I'll have a list item inside a block, and I used to be able to add images below the steps. So like I could do a step-by-step tutorial and have like an ordered list and do a break, a new line break, and insert an image right after that step. I can't do that anymore. That is not available in the current block editor. And to me, I should be able to add an image anywhere I want to. I shouldn't be limited by that. I need to be able to integrate images into my list item. And the fact that I can't makes me annoyed.
Are you still limited to where like you cannot apply stylings to multiple paragraph blocks at the same time?
Yes.
Like, is that still?
Yeah. You have to either apply it at the full block level. You still can't. You're right. I mean, like if you have 7 different paragraphs or 7 different blocks, they're all considered separate paragraphs. You can't include them in a, there isn't like a wrapper thing or a section thing or a block that will encapsulate all of those items and allow them to have the same style. So that's a
But there
problem.
should
No, that's
be
so
like it should
annoying.
be.
It's
Like, if I'm
annoying,
select-
right?
Yeah.
If I'm selecting multiple blocks of the same type, like I should be able to apply similar properties to all of them, because like it's not like we need to convert different properties to different types or different values because they're different block types. Like
Yeah.
if I have 5 paragraph blocks selected, I should be able to bold them all at the same time.
Yeah.
I agree.
But you can't. You can select
can't.
multiple blocks and drag them and drop them, but you can't apply formatting to multiple blocks. at
And
the
to
same time.
me, like that is way more important than full site editing.
Yeah, it's an
Because
editor.
like the core isn't like correct.
Yeah, that's an editor. That's an editor function,
Yeah.
and that's an editor function that you would normally be able to do with an editor. Like I mean, I think what they've introduced with the new template blocks is basically they've moved the loop and the query, which is for people that know what those mean. When you back in the old day when you wrote a theme, you wrote your loop, and you wrote your whenever you did a post template or the template for your main page or whatever, you had to deal with a loop and you had to write a query to feed that loop. So the query, asks the database, what am I going to display? Like blog posts, or am I going to display pages, or am I going to display this page, or this single detail and stuff like that? And the loop is what outputs it. Well, they have now created a query loop block and a query block and a loop block, and they work together to do that kind of stuff. So powerful, but kind of limited still at this point. Like they're still only including categories and tags, like they're the be-all end-all. And people don't just use categories and tags; they use other taxonomies. And if you're going to give the ability to query on multiple post types, you damn well should give the ability to query on multiple taxonomies. So I haven't played with it yet. This is all 5.8. It's all on the new Gutenberg. So that's the whole thing, is like you've got to kind of set up a whole scene, the whole thing with the new Gutenberg plugin and test it. And I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. Wait a
Well,
minute.
I
We have
just
a comment
wanted to
here from Daniel. We have a
Wait a
comment
minute.
from Daniel. Hang on. It says you can select multiple blocks of the same type next to each other and change their properties, but you can't do like a command key, Daniel, and like select this one, this one, this one, and this one, leaving some spaces in between, and change their properties. So, and now go ahead, Lane.
Well, generate blocks and classic editor, you cannot use them together. It's they told me at generate press you cannot use them.
Well, yeah,
together.
you wouldn't be able to, because generate
Yeah.
blocks is the block editor. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't use the block editor and the classic editor in the same thing. It'd be like you can't do Elementor and Beaver Builder on the same page. You can't do Beaver Builder and the classic editor and generate blocks on the same page either. So, all right. So Daniel says you cannot do spaces in between. So they have to be contingent, which is again not an editor. Because I can, I should be able to do selections of all kinds of things. But, somebody's phone again. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. We have a good comment from Daniel. Hang on a second. Got another one. I love this. You can set up a 2-column page with images on one side and description on the other. Yeah, that would work, but for a multi-step semantic list of things, like if you're doing a step-by-step, that is an ordered list. Semantically, that is an ordered list.
And what you're saying is like you couldn't do, just to make sure I understand right, You couldn't
Yeah.
do like list item, line break, and then add an image. You
No,
cannot.
cannot.
Okay.
Cannot. The minute you do the line break, it takes you out of the block.
That's strange. You should be able to do multiple line breaks and.
Yeah, well, you should be able to insert images in there too. So, yeah.
Because you could, I
It's
could
very-
see probably a little difficult. We like should be able to make like a list block be able to support certain kinds of children, like an image
Yeah.
block. Should
Yeah,
be
exactly.
possible.
And it shouldn't be a big issue. And the thing I have a problem with too is that to get around it, I have to do a table, or I have to do a side by side, image aside, image aside, image aside,
Or
image aside.
upload the image, copy the HTML in.
Yeah, I mean, I can go into the HTML and do it and make it work, but I shouldn't have to do that.
No.
No. So that's my issue. Yeah, I still think there's a lot of issues with their handling of image sizes, because image sizes are still defined at the theme level, and they haven't really provided any method to move that up to the customizer so that you could say overall theme image sizes are kind of like defined. Right now they're registered at the black theme. You know what I'm talking about. And because of that, you can't be consistent about, okay, well, I want all my images to be at a max. When I do a large, I want it to be this max width. When I do this, I need it to be this max width. Like, that's the kind of settings I would like to see be applied at the Gutenberg. I mean, and they still haven't fixed the media library. Come on. They're doing all this crap, and they still have not fixed the standard two things, the media library and taxonomy. They haven't touched them. And they think they can put custom fields in the frickin' content, and you can't do that. That's not where it belongs. So
I
anyway.
was looking at how to implement the media library because we are going to, with fillable PDFs, make it possible for people to just embed set a static image to go into a PDF field. And so
Yeah.
I want to have people to be able to select those out of the media library.
Oh,
and
wow.
Tracking down how to like use the media library in like a React context of just like, hey, I want to put a button in my React app. That
Right,
will, like,
'cause there's
pop up
no-
the media library, select a thing.
Yeah.
Seems unnecessarily complicated.
It is. Well, because the media library, they are post types, but they have no taxonomy, which is a problem. So you can't dictate that I want to set up a set of images that are only to be used for this static type of thing. I can't organize my media library that way.
I'm not even going that far with it though. I'm just talking about
really?
just like being able to just like the process of like putting a button and like click this button, open the modal. When modal closes, like give me the image ID and save it. Like it's like tracking down how
Yeah.
to do that is a little difficult. More difficult.
Yeah, it does seem. It seems very odd to me that they have de-escalated the three things in their interface that are the worst: custom fields, media library, and taxonomy.
Menus
still
are
in-
blocked now, right?
Supposedly.
I say all this
supposedly-
having not used 5.8 at all.
I haven't touched the header editing, block editing yet, so yeah, supposedly the entire header footer is block edited now, and I don't know how I feel about that. Because it's just, I don't know. That's the one thing. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's the nice thing of like mainly working in the back end, like away from the block editor screens, and just being on a generic WordPress admin page.
Yeah.
Is that I can remain blissfully unaware of changes like these.
Yeah. Oh, Rick says last he heard was that the classic editor goes away this coming December. I don't see how they can mandate that though. I really don't. Because
That only works if you update to a version of WordPress that no longer supports those hooks.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that WordPress has always been so very much of the we always have backwards compatibility, blah 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 blah, and I can't see them cutting that
I
off.
cannot see them pulling support for the classic editor because there are plenty of post types that just they're not block editors. They're more data collection type
Yeah.
post types that you do need that classic editor UI for.
Yeah. Well, like, I'm sorry, but most custom host types with custom fields are not blocks.
No.
They are data entry forms. That's what they are. They're not designed to be that kind of weird thingy. So, yeah, I don't know. How you doing, Michelle? You look tired over there. I see you. Just calling on you. That's what I do. You know that.
No, I'm researching other things while y'all talk about that.
Okay. I understand. By the way, there is a good tech. Apparently, there's a good Tech for Good meeting. Is it tomorrow night or Thursday night? Let me see. We don't talk about them enough here, but Tech for Good has a meetup. I believe, this Thursday. Checking right now. Yeah, July 15th, this Thursday. That is on. Where is it? It's data visualization. So, might not be a bad one to check out. Let me share it real quick. I'll be nice. I don't mind promoting. Rick says, Rick, you could just dial in. Anyway, from 2018, Gary Pendergast announced this morning that the Classic Editor plugin will be officially supported until December 31st, 2021. He's still typing stuff. So, hang on. When he finishes typing, we'll share the rest of it.
That is a 3-year-old statement, so I would guess that doesn't still hold up.
Yeah. This is the one from Tech for Good. It's a data visualization seminar. So they're having the folks from Tableau come in. Jennifer Newsom loves making sense of data and creating insightful, beautifully designed, and impactful data visualizations. If your managing and marketing requires this kind of stuff, if you need to make presentations for your board, this is a good idea to drop in for that one. They are Tech for Good Tampa. They're worth checking out. Okay. Let me pop back into my little world here again. All right, I'm back. He says WordPress committed to supporting the now superseded Classic Editor until December 2021. The TLDR of that whole thing was that WordPress committed to supporting it. So, which I find hilarious, because if they just started, they're going to support a classic widget editor, then obviously they should still support the Classic Editor.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
Well, it's like, to me, it's like I don't, like, I've looked at the header blocks that are available within Elementor and Beaver Builder and all of those builders. I don't like them. I'd prefer to use the menus that are provided by the theme, because they're nicely designed, and that's the whole function of, that's the one theme function I've always believed should be in the theme, is the header, and providing areas that we can drop content into consistently, But, oh well. The whole world is changing.
I say this being
no worries, Rick. No, we know you're not arguing, just reporting, and we appreciate it. I was just kidding with you. But yeah. So go ahead, Travis.
I say this primarily being the person that manages the content on the site, so like not others aren't having to interact with it as much. All Gutenberg has done has made me go kind of in the opposite direction, where I've just been like making my theme files more static.
Yeah.
Where, like, a lot of our product pages, like, all the content is just straight up HTML in a template file instead of it being editable in the back end. That's just easier to roll out than having to write out custom blocks for everything.
Well, my concern is that they haven't replaced everything that has to be PHP based with JavaScript. And you still have to, like, okay, I still have to write to the content filter. Are they going to give me a React for that? Do I have to have an entire tool set to write a theme now? That's kind of my biggest issue on that kind of stuff. Like, I don't really care, because I use GeneratePress, and that's what I'm going to use, and I'll use their Generate blocks because I like their block editor and stuff. And they've got enough people that use it that are very comfortable with it and do like really amazing work. So I don't have a problem with that. My issue comes down to, don't break themes that use your filters, by deprecating them. That's kind of the whole point, is that all of the block editors, all of them, except for the block editor from WordPress, uses the content filter in order to insert its pieces into the page. So, yeah. I don't know.
JavaScript's hard to learn. That's all I'll say
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah, JavaScript's
Even
hard to
someone
learn.
who understands JavaScript like even before React like pretty
Yeah.
decently, having to like get into, and I've been like taking React courses recently to like get better about this. Just understanding not just how React operates, but how to like properly structure your component and then just like all your functionality files is difficult to wrap your head around.
Well, and shouldn't WordPress have provided a huge library of those so that people didn't have to?
I'm talking about this a little less in the context of specifically working with Gutenberg. More of just like,
Yeah.
hey, if WordPress is using React, I'm also going to start using React for my own things.
Right.
Just like, I need to learn how to use it. And
Yeah, but I just what I'm saying is that okay, if you're going from the viewpoint of let's take it from another viewpoint. Well, let's look at Apple. Apple has a very specific design style. They have a very specific, presentation style, everything UI UX style, and they maintain a standard. Shouldn't WordPress, if they were going to be coming from that same viewpoint, have maintained a standard and provided a common library for people to work against?
there are a lot of elements that are available, like a lot of
Okay.
input elements and stuff. I'm talking a little higher than that, more of like less like those specific
Yeah.
elements, but like more of how you structure your code and like
Right. Yeah.
a lot of the documentation around like state management isn't great.
Oh,
Like
that's
both
my
like how to use it with WordPress and also just like how that stuff works in general, because like state management is like complicated.
Well, and I guess if we were looking at it too, yeah, I mean, Apple's definitely for profit, Rick, but the still thing comes down to is that if you're going to work in their ecosystem, like if you're going to work in the Google ecosystem, you do have to understand material design. You have to come at it from that viewpoint of that if you're going to be writing an app for the Android or something of that nature or for Chrome, you have to understand material design. That is the same rule that Apple has mandated for most of their iOS specific type stuff. And that's WordPress used to have a coding standard. And the primary reason for that coding standard was to prevent conflicts. I would believe. Right?
I think the biggest thing that's missing really from the block editor is security to a certain extent. Like there is no real way to like prevent people from like modifying certain properties in a block, being able to insert or modify specific kinds of blocks at all.
Right, because they couldn't touch the PHP, but they could go into the console and change pretty much the entire DOM.
Well, not even that. Like I could remove
I didn't find
elements.
that on Apple Music.
I could remove parts of the interface.
I didn't ask. Sorry.
I could remove parts of the interface of like, hey, if this is Jim, like, don't show the specific setting on this block because he shouldn't be allowed to control that. But what is stopping
Right.
Jim from just switching over to the code editor view
Yeah.
and modifying that property in the comments for that block anyway? There's nothing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I could
That's
go
a
into the
big
console
problem.
now. I could go in the console now and completely change the entire page and all of its information. I could force it to pull a different query,
Yeah. That's not
reasonably.
good. Like that's something that should really be addressed.
Yeah, I agree with that. Huh. Interesting. Well, that was a fun little side discussion. I mean, we should probably definitely talk about it at some point. Again, we keep doing a Gutenberg talk about every year, so we try to keep it on the radar.
Well,
at
it's
least.
not like it's been around for 10 years. It's only been around for
3. Yeah.
3.
That's true. You know, some plugin that's been around for 10 years that we should probably talk about one of these days, and maybe do like an overview of the new Gravity Forms editor and stuff like that. So, we haven't done a Gravity Forms talk in a while, but wouldn't be a bad thing to show off. I think I'm going to wait on that one until 2.6, maybe. We'll see, because the 2.6 is going to be introducing theme styles, we believe. So that you'll actually be able to style your forms in a more cohesive way. instead of having to use external plugins for that. So does anybody else have any other topics they want to talk about? Argue on. This is from Rick. Blocks are still in transition and we cannot apply blanket statements other than we don't like change. Argue off.
I see that.
I'm not against change. Like, I'm totally for
I'm totally
more
for it.
reactive ways for us to like manipulate content. I think there are core structural issues that have been there since the beginning that it seems
Yeah.
like they're not willing to address or don't think are a concern,
Well, and
which I very much feel differently on.
yeah. And it's when people get on. Granted, one thing I did notice, and we've talked about it before, is that doing a block editor page is a lot lighter than Elementor or any of the other page builders. So that's impressive.
Because
But I think
the
that-
others, Elementor, Beaver Build, those others page builders are trying to shove their stuff into the classic editor context.
Yeah.
Instead of the block editor being this fresh thing.
Right. Now, they could have embraced the block editor and rewrote their products to use the block editor and add a grid and everything else like that, like Generate Blocks did. I honestly think Generate Blocks did a really good job of simplifying the block editor by creating, package elements, like core elements that are like the grid, the button grid, and stuff like
Columns.
that. The columns, yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's the grid for
Okay.
them. Yeah, and just letting you do that kind of stuff. That's my main thing. Is like the one thing everyone needed, and one thing everyone's always asked for was a grid that was much more flexible. Like the Flexbox grid or something like that. And by them not even WordPress-wise, not even standardizing on a grid. I mean, come on.
To me, the core issue with the block editor is like the classic editor. Like, people were building out posts, and I don't mean posts in like a blog post, but like all types of posts. Different screens for different purposes.
Yeah.
And the block editor has a very narrow view on what it thinks that post editor screen should be able to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's my...
Yeah, Nick, I mean, Rick, I know they have something we can use like a grid that the native Gutenberg does, but my issue is the fact that their grid is not standardized. It's not
You're
using
saying that like
either
the styling implementation is not...
standardized.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And you can see it across the board anytime you apply one of their block gallery elements, because all of a sudden this goes outside the grid, this goes full width, this it's all over the place. And that should not be the case. A grid is a grid. When you're using CSS grid or whether you're using Flexbox grid, whatever you're using, standardize on one. And make
Unless
that-
they're potentially like the decision, I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud here. The decision is like, hey, let's leave that up to the theme developers to decide how they want to implement that grid, whether they want to do Flexbox, CSS grid, maybe they want to do floats, and like, hey, let's let them do floats.
Yeah, but you can't make a block editor that mandates a columnar grid and not enforce a grid. That's kind of the thing. Like, it's like, okay, there was one plugin I used to use that would do a portfolio grid, and it would use floats. And then I was using another one that did Flexbox, and then did another one that did CSS grid. You can't have all three. You got to pick one. So that's my viewpoint. And be consistent about it. That's all I'm asking. So, because that's my biggest issue. I think that I run into with grids is that I'm usually pretty easy about able to handle the multiple columns. It's the rows and being able to do row spans and anything like that. All of the stuff that you still need to be able to do, they are table-y type things, but they are grid functions. And I just want to see my frickin' grid and go click, click, these two are together, these aren't, that kind of thing. And then I want to see it kind of the way GeneratePress does so well, where they give you the tablet and mobile view all in the same interface, and you can set all three. Or you can leave them be, and that kind of thing too, and it just works. So, anyway. Fascinating. I don't see any other questions out here, so real quick again, we're going to go over the stuff. How do you guys feel? Nichelle, you still out there, or are you on mute still? I think she popped away. How do you guys feel about pushing? I'm not meeting in August. Okay, go ahead. I see. Yep. Anyway, okay. So how do you guys feel about not meeting in August? Are you okay with that?
You don't want to push it to the following Tuesday, kind of like we did this one?
No. God, no. I may not even have internet.
Well, maybe Travis might want to take over that meeting to do his plugins.
No, I think that's
no.
a-
You won't have enough
That's
time
for
for that.
fall. That's for the fall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a full, and we're gonna need a full crew.
Yeah, we need a full
You know,
crew
the
because
cold, freezing cold fall of like September.
Yeah.
But no, that is definitely something we need to put the word out that we're looking for submissions for.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not just taking ones like from like the .org repo. No, we want like people to submit their own.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to look at it from different contexts. Like look through the code, look through the usability aspects, and all of us will have different perspectives on it.
Interesting. Okay. But yeah, so are you guys okay with taking off for August
Yeah.
while Jim moves? And
Or,
I know.
or you don't want to push it to the next week. Is that it?
No, I don't, because I'm closing on the Friday, and the next week I would be basically. I may not even have internet yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are you clapping, Miss Nichelle?
Closing, does that mean you purchased?
Yes, I purchased, or I'm in the process of purchasing. I'm closing on a house. Yeah, I'm closing on a house in August in Lakeland. So I'm moving to Lakeland. So
Oh no! Boo!
it's okay. Lakeland is less than an hour away. I will still be coming here because my vet's here, my doctor's here, Trader Joe's is here.
You say that now until you have to deal with I-4 traffic.
I've had to deal with it a couple of times, and it's really annoying. So, well, but this is how I look at it, is that we have basically been for over a year and something. We've only been meeting like this. And honestly, I've actually enjoyed life like this, of not going out of my house more than to hang out with my pup, and spending more time with my pup, and spending more time at home, and saving money, and I kind of like it, you know. The other day I had to go away for 4 hours, and it was the day that I did the inspection. I came back home after the inspection. I realized I made it home the same time I left and came back home in the same time windows I used to do when we would do our meetups. And I missed my puppy so much, and he was so, distraught to not see me for that long period of time that I couldn't deal with it. And
Now everyone has separation anxiety.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, well, think about it. It's like that's the one thing that has been like the best thing in so many ways out of this whole pandemic, is the remote work, the distributed work has allowed people to realize how much their life-work balance has been really out of whack, and how much they needed to be home around their family and their people growing up around them, and just really having this comfortable base that you work from.
Says the person who doesn't have any young children.
Yes. But honestly, if I had kids, because I do. I have a dog, and yeah, they're not the same thing as a kid, but at the same time, it's like I love watching my sister's kids grow up and stuff like that. I think it's amazing, and being able to be there for them. And
that part is great, but then you have to do distance learning and all this.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail the conversation.
No, it's okay. It's fine. Because that's the thing, is like they're starting to do studies now that I love Rick too. It says virtual meetings don't have to shower, dress, drive there, then drive home, then decompress. Yeah, the one thing that they realized about remote work and not making people commute is how much we were wasting on the commute, and how expensive it is to have an office. It's pointless. Like when I used to work for Bank of America, I don't know how it was for Unichelle, but we had an entire office that was probably less than 20% populated, and they paid for the whole frickin' thing. Electricity, utilities, the whole bit. It was disgusting. Rent, property taxes, the whole bit. And that's a waste of money. When that could be used for cheap reasonable, what do you call it, affordable housing instead. So, with businesses underneath that supported those affordable housing that lived above them. That kind of thing. So, but yeah, they're doing studies like in Iceland and other areas that the work week is actually too long. That we may need to really start thinking about a 35-hour work week. They've done studies that show that people over 40 their productivity level goes down after 35 hours. To the point where their cognitive abilities like flatline once they get up to 50.
Other countries have looked at the 4-day work week. It's in Europe.
Yeah.
It was the American model that we exported to be, you work 5 days a week and you work like this and everything like that.
And then they would get mad. They would get mad at Spain for taking their siestas, and they get mad at this one for not being open on Mondays, or they'd be mad at this country for not being open on this day of the week, or allowing their employees to work from home. How dare they not have the American capitalist model? It's like, wait a minute. What do you mean you don't make your children work? What? You don't have your children in a sweatshop right now? What's wrong with you? So.
Founding principles of America, capitalism make the world goes around. But
exactly. Hopefully, they're starting to learn that that's not exactly true.
Speaking of which, if you really interested, CNBC just released their top states for business, and they do take in account now remote work, and it's not just that, it's also they looking at your electrical grid, the availability of electrical grid, and
internet,
broadband. Those are
broadband.
Two of the key things. So it's really interesting.
Well, those are huge. It's like they're realizing now. Look at Texas. Everybody thought Texas was like, woohoo, Texas. And their freaking electrical grid just blew out of the water because, oh no, they had a storm. One little blizzard and your entire electrical grid goes down for weeks. Come on. Jeez. But, yeah.
As we digress, so no August meeting because Jim is moving into his new home.
Yep. And we'll do September, but we probably will not do the first week because it's the day after Labor Day. And people will have that day off, so we'll do the following week on that one. And I am going to be talking to the folks that run Lakeland, and we may roll them into WordPress Tampa Bay, because I don't think they're meeting. Yeah, I don't think they're meeting. They're out there, but they're not meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They've got Catapult Lakeland, though, which is a beautiful space. Oh, my God. It's gorgeous.
Well, we met the one...
Rob Gilhausen.
Rob Gilhausen.
Yeah.
Is
so I'll be asking him.
Involved? Or he
yes,
moved.
He moved
to St. Pete, I thought.
Did he? I thought he
moved.
I'll have to check.
I don't know.
Because he was still the leader of the Lakeland when I'm on their WordPress group, but I'm not. I am an organizer, but I'm not the leader. I'll reach out and find out what's going on there. But yeah, my goal would be is to roll them into WordPress Tampa Bay. We'll take over the country. Oh, Tampa Bay now includes Orlando and Jacksonville. What you talking about? So funny.
Don't bite off more than we.
No. I just don't want to lose what we've started, and I'm pretty happy with where we are. So, we're not crazy busy, but I'm not thinking about doing any WordCamps anytime soon. Well, right now, with all the deltas going around, it's like I honestly have a feeling they're probably going to end up canceling a lot of stuff next year that they've said they're going to do now. So, until those little deltas are under control. So, anyway, it is 7:30. Thank everybody for coming tonight. I'm going to get let's get our stuff started rolling up for the end here. Please visit our website at wptampabay.org. You will find out where all of our stuff is, all of our history, everything is on there, all of our old videos. Make sure you like and subscribe to this video on YouTube. And let's see. Thank you again, everyone, for coming tonight. Travis Lopes, Elaine Simmons, Michelle Gerardo, and Ann Barca, and Rick, who is out there on our wonderful YouTube chat, and who else joined in? I think we got Isaac Goprimel, and we got going back up the list here, Daniel Shootsmith also jumped in there at some point. So, yeah, thank you folks who did show up tonight. We have 4 whole viewers. Woohoo! We are like breaking, watch statistics right now. So we will be back again in not next month, but the month after. And thank you again. Let me find my branding button for the video. Thank you again for coming to WordPress St. Pete. Thank you for watching a recorded session from WordPress St. Petersburg Meetup. We meet once a month on the first Tuesday of the month, live streaming online through our YouTube channel and Facebook group. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new videos are added. Find out more about WordPress St. Petersburg at our website at wptampabay.org.